Hello everyone and welcome to another video guide for Hearthstone. Today I want to show you how to play the arena. Building a deck in the arena is different in the way that you can choose from all the cards in your collection, but only from the options you get in the arena. But you're still looking for the same kind of cards as you would when you build a constructed deck. If you haven't seen the guide video number 2, I will show you quickly what I mean. You want to have, first of all, minions with good stats compared to their mana cost. The best two examples for this are the Chillwind Yeti. It's 4 mana for 4 or 5, really good stats. And another one would be, for example, the Boulder Fist Ogre, 6 mana for 6/7 stats. You can also choose smaller minions, for example the Bloodfin Raptor, 3/2 for 2, that's really good. Even the Amani Berserker, 2/3 for 2. Those are all minions with good stats compared to their mana cost. The next thing you want to have is efficient removal spells. For example, the Flame Strike, pay 7 mana, deal 4 damage to all enemy minions. Fireball, deal 6 damage, pay 4 mana. The Rogue has Eviscerate, pay 2 mana, deal 4 damage if you combo it. Those are all efficient removal spells to get rid of your opponent's minions. The next thing you want to have is a few draw mechanics. Now this is not so easy to get in Arena because you actually need to get that option to choose it. By draw mechanics I mean cards that can draw you other cards. A few examples of this would be for example the Azure Drake. It's a 4/4 for 5, spell damage +1, as well as a battle cry, draw another card. Another example would be the paladin card Hammer of Wrath. Pay 4 mana, it deals 3 damage, draw a card. Now this card is also considered to be an efficient removal spell, so it's 2-in-1 card. You can deal 3 damage to a minion and you can draw a card. There's one thing I want to add that's especially important to the arena, the 2-for-1 cards. By that I mean cards that you play that either kill 2 or more minions of your opponent, like for example we just saw Flame Strike. You can kill off 3, 4, 5 minions with just one card, or for example the multi-shot from the Hunter. You can kill 2 minions with one card. Or also a minion that the opponent has to use 2 cards on to get rid of. Examples for this would be the Argent Commander. You play the Argent Commander, you can charge into a minion before attack, kill it, and the Argent Commander stays alive because of the Divine Shield, and most likely your opponent has to use another minion to get rid of it, so you get 2 cards out of the Argent Commander. The Sunwalker would be another example. It's a 4/5 with Divine Shield and Taunt. In a lot of cases your opponent has to either use hero power or another minion to get rid of the Divine Shield, and then needs to attack at least with one more minion into it to kill it, or use a spell to kill it. It's also a 2-for-1 card. The Azure Drake, by the way, is also considered a 2-for-1 card, because when you play it you draw another card. So playing the Azure Drake isn't considered to be playing wasting a card or playing a card, because it cycles itself. You get one more card out of it and you play one. So if your opponent needs to kill a minion to be able to kill off the Azure Drake, he will have used one card to get rid of your card, which drawed you another card. So it's also a 2-for-1. Those 2-for-1 situations are so important in arenas because building an aggressive deck is really hard. So most of the matchups you'll get are control focused, where both players try to establish board presence. In these matchups, card advantage is everything. When you have more cards than your opponent, you have more options to gain control of the board. That's why these cards are so important in the arena. But let's go ahead now and build our first deck in the arena. Okay, so we can choose between the Warlock, the Rogue and the Paladin here. I'm gonna go with the Paladin because Paladins are really good in arena because they have a lot of good spells as well as minions to play in the arena. So when you build a deck in arena, you always get 3 card choices of which you can choose 1. You do that 30 times, you have built your deck. Now what I like to do is in the first about 15 picks I just choose the minion, which I think is the best of the 3, and after that I also want to look a bit at our mana curve so we can build kind of a balanced deck. So let's look at our first picks here. Wild Pyromancer and Sunfury Protector are all good stats for their mana cost. 3-2 for 2, a 2-3 for 2. Both have an effect on top of it. And the Mana Worm, which is a 2-2 for 2, all minions cost 1 more. I think this card is bad, that's why I'm not gonna choose it. The decision lies between Wild Pyromancer and Sunfury Protector. In Paladin decks, Wild Pyromancer is really great because there is a card that says put all the health of all minions to 1. So when you play that spell after you play the Wild Pyromancer, it can wipe the whole board. That's why I'm gonna choose the Wild Pyromancer, but in other decks Sunfury Protector would also be good. Here we have Blessing of Wisdom. Choose a minion whenever it attacks, draw a card. So we have our first draw mechanic here. The Fan Creeper is the 3-6 for 5 with Taunt, which is okay, nothing too amazing. And we have one of the best Paladin cards here, Hammer of Wrath. We talked about it earlier. It says deal 3 damage, draw a card. So you have a draw mechanic as well as a removal spell in 1 card. So we're gonna choose that one. Stone Tusk Boar is a 1-1 with charge for 1, totally useless in any situations. The Mad Bomber is again a 3-2 for 2 with an effect. Deal 3 damage randomly split between all other characters. That means it can hit your own minions, it can also hit your own hero. But it's still in a lot of situations a really good card. The Reckless Rocketeer is 6 mana card, 5-2 with charge. Now this card is not really good because the health value is just too low. So when you play it, it most likely dies. So it could also be considered as like a spell that says deal 5 damage for 6 mana, which would really be inefficient. So we're gonna go with the Mad Bomber. Okay, we got a spell, give a minion Divine Shield. Not really that great. Loot Hoarder, 2-1 for 2, Death Rattle, draw a card. So this is a card that pretty much dies to everything, but because it draws you a card, it's still okay. The Dark Iron Dwarf is a 4-4 for 4 with Battlecry, give a minion +2 attack this turn. This is really good card because the stats are pretty good for 4 mana, and it also has an effect that can be useful in some situations. So I'm gonna go with the Dark Iron Dwarf. Okay, we have our first weapon here, True Silver Champion, which is probably the best weapon in the whole game. Because it has 4 attack, 2 durability, that means we can attack twice with it. And we also get healed for 2 whenever we use it. Really amazing card. Murloc Tidehunter is a 2-1 for 2 with a Battlecry effect, summon a 1-1 Murloc Scout. It's an okay card, nothing amazing. Stormwind Champion is really good in arena, especially in Paladin decks, because we can summon minions with our hero power. So these two are both really good choices, but I think the True Silver Champion is the best option here because we can actually kill 2 minions with it, so it would be a 2-for-1 card, which I talked about earlier. Okay. Dread Corsair here. 4 for 3/3, really bad, but costs 1 less per attack of your weapon. So if we have the True Silver Champion in hand, when we play it, it is free. Stormpike Commando, Battlecry, deal 2 damage, 4/2, is in a lot of situations, or in some situations at least, a 2-for-1 card, because you can play it, kill maybe a 3/2 minion, and then your opponent has run something into it to kill it off. But I think the best choice here is the Spiteful Smith. It's a 4/6 for 5, pretty good stats, and also has an enrage effect. Your weapon has 2+2 attack, so if we have the Hammer of Wrath at the same time, this is a really good card. Okay, we got our first bad options pick here. Young Dragonhawk 1/1, Wind Fury, totally useless. Light's Justice, a weapon with 1 attack, totally useless. Ogre Magi 4/4 for 4, it's okay. Spell damage +1. We have the Hammer of Wrath so far, so it would deal 4 damage. It's not really good, but out of these 3 it's definitely the best option. Again, we got 2 1/1s. The Elven Archer would be a bit better than the Young Dragonhawk because it has, you can deal 1 damage with it at least with the Battlecry effect. But we have the Tiger here, 5/5 for 5 stealth, can be targeted by spells or other minions. It's a pretty good card in Arena. Okay, again a 1 mana cost card, I'm not gonna pick it. It just dies to everything. Noble Sacrifice can be okay in some situations, but I don't think we're gonna pick it here because we got the War Golem. It's a 7/7 for 7. Okay stats. Good big minion. We need some of those as well. Okay, here we got some rares. Questing Adventurer, whenever you play a card, gain +1/+1. In Paladin deck we will not be playing too many minions on the same turn, so I don't think Questing Adventurer is that great. Arcane Golem has charge but has a negative effect in the Battlecry. Give your opponent a mana crystal. In Arena that's not so good. Emperor Cobra is a 2/3 for 3. Destroy any minion damaged by this minion. So this is actually quite a good card. If you look at our mana curve here, we don't have any 3-drops yet, so the Cobra is pretty good. Holy Wrath, draw a card and deal damage equal to its cost. This is pretty bad because we don't know what card we're gonna draw. So maybe just deal 2 damage and then paying 5 mana for that is pretty bad. Murloc Tidecaller, we're not building a Murloc deck here for obvious reasons. Not gonna choose it. So Imp Master it is, which can be a pretty good card. At the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to this minion and summon a 1/1 Imp. Quite okay. Okay, next pick. Shieldbearer 0/4 with Taunt. Useless because it gives you card disadvantage. You play it, your opponent can kill it for free, doesn't lose any of his cards, but you lose the Shieldbearer. Thrallmaul Farseer 3 for 2/3 is really bad stats, and the Wind Fury doesn't make this card that much better. I think we're gonna choose Blessing of Wisdom here. Choose a minion whenever it attacks, draw a card. So we get a little bit more of our draw mechanics. Now here I'm actually gonna choose our first 1 mana minion, the Worgen Infiltrator, because it has stealth. So you can play him and your opponent will most likely not be able to kill it. So if you're on turn 1 you don't have the coin, this is the best card you can play. Murloc Raider is bad, Oasis Snapjaw is also not that great, so we're gonna go with the Infiltrator. At the moment we're pretty balanced here on the mana curve, so we don't really have to watch out for that. Youthful Brewmaster is another 3/2 for 2. Right now we only have the Map Bomber and Wild Pyromancer, so we might want to choose this. Lord of the Arena has a bit too less health for 6 mana, so I don't think it's that great. It's okay, but it's not that great. I think we're gonna choose another Hammer of Wrath, because it's one of the best cards. Elven Archer, again, not an option for us. Bloodfin Raptor would be a good 2 minion, 2-drop. But Blessing of Kings, give a minion +4/+4. Really good buffing card, so we're definitely gonna choose that. Shieldbearer again, bad. Redemption, when one of your minions dies, return it to life with 1 health. Totally useless in this situation here. Direwolf Alpha is a 2/2 for 2. Adjacent minions have +1 attack. This card is pretty okay in Paladin deck because again you can summon minions with your hero power, so in this case it's anyway the best option of the 3, so we're gonna choose it. Reckless Rocketeer, we talked about it, pretty bad. Priestess of Elune, restore 4 health to your hero, 5/4 for 6, terrible stats, and the Battle Cry effect doesn't make up for it. Healing is not that great here. Shattered Sun Cleric, I talked about him in my previous videos, it's a really good one. You can give a friendly minion +2/+2, you can buff it. The stats are okay as well. Definitely gonna choose that guy. Okay, now we have some great options. Harvest Golem is in my opinion the best 3 mana cost minion in the whole game, because it actually comes back to life when you kill it, sort of. It's 2/3 for 3, Death Rattle, summon a 2/1 damage golem. So he needs to be killed twice. The Venture Mercenary is also really great, 7/6 for 5, which is absolutely amazing, but has a downside, your minions cost 3 more. But because of your opponent having to kill it anyway, otherwise he's in big trouble, this effect is not that bad. Dragonlair Mechanic is also pretty good, but in this case I think Venture Mercenary is the way to go. We only have War Golem and Stronghold for Tiger, maybe Spiteful Smith as our big minions. I think we need some more, so we're gonna go with that guy. Again, the 2 1-drops are really bad here, so we're gonna go with the Razor Hunter, which is quite okay. Our mana curve looks pretty good, so I'm happy about that. Divine Favor, draw cards until you have as many in your hand as your opponent. Okay, this can be good if you play an aggressive deck. We're definitely not playing aggressive decks, so we probably, if we do everything right, have more cards in our hand than our opponent, so this is not going to be useful. Demolisher, 1/4, bad stats, but at the start of your turn deal 2 damage to a random enemy. I think with the Abomination as an option, deal 2 damage to all characters if he dies. We don't have yet any spells that can deal damage to multiple minions. The only spells we have right now are 2 Hammer of Wraths that can deal damage to minions, so I think I'm gonna go with the Abomination to get some AoE effect. If our opponent overruns the board with a lot of small minions, Abomination is a really good answer to that. Okay, Angry Chicken, worst card in the whole game. 1/1 for 1, Enrage +5 attack. This is more like a fun card, it's totally not useful. Mana Wrath, I talked about it, I don't like it. Twilight Drake, gain 1 health for each card in your hand. So, it can be pretty good if you have a lot of cards in hand, that's why we're gonna choose it. Motion Warden is a 1/7 for 4, and it has taunts. Now I think this card is really terrible because the attack value is just too low. Your opponent can run as many minions into him as he wants, they only get damaged by 1, and that's not gonna help us at all. Noble Sacrifice, we didn't pick it before, we're not gonna pick it now because we get the Bloodsail Raider. 2/3 for 2, Battle Cry, gain attack equal to the attack of your weapon. So if we have the True Silver Champion equipped and play this guy, it will be a 6/3. If we don't have the True Silver equipped, we can still play him, because it's still very good stats for 2 mana. Oh, okay. Now this is also one of my favorite cards here, Guardian of Kings. 5/6, Battle Cry, restore 6 health to your hero. I talked about that healing is not that great, but in this case where you can play a minion at the same time and also 6 heal value is pretty much. I think it's one of the best paladin cards, at least in the basics deck. So yeah, the Ancient Brewmaster is also really good, 5/4/4/4, and you can return a minion from the battlefield. Can be useful in a lot of situations, but we already have a lot of 4 minions, 4 mana minions, so we're lacking a bit. Actually, we got a few good big guys, but we're definitely gonna choose the Guardian of Kings here. Blessing of Wisdom, we already chose it, we don't want to have 2 of those. Youthful Brewmaster and Razor and Hunter are both pretty good, but I think Youthful Brewmaster is the better choice here. Repentance, again, not good card. Light Justice, again, not good card. Iron for a Grizzly, 3/3 for 3 with Taunt, it's okay. Definitely the best option here. Light Warden, again, a 1 mana minion, not good. Divine Favor, not good in this situation. White Pyromancer, pretty good. So we're gonna choose it. Okay, now this is a rather hard decision here. Magma Rager is a 5/1/3, which is absolutely terrible because 3 out of the 9 heroes can deal 1 damage with their hero power. So this guy will die immediately when you play it, so it's not a good one. Silverhand Knight is really good. It gives you 2 minions, a 4/4 and a 2/2 for 5 mana, which is really good. And the Blessing of Kings, again, we chose it already because it's a really good card, but I think in this case we're gonna go with the Silverhand Knight. Okay, nice. Archon Commander, I talked about it at the beginning of the video. You charge into a minion, kill it, and your guy stays alive. One of the best 2-for-1 cards I know. Blessed Champion, double a minion's attack for 5 mana, don't like it. Crest Alchemist can be useful in some situations, but definitely here the Archon Commander is the way to go. Okay, our last 2 picks here. Mana Curve looks pretty good, so we can choose whatever we want. Frostwolf Warlord, I talked about it in previous videos. It's really good in Paladin decks because you can summon a 1/1 recruit, and this guy can become pretty big if you have a lot of minions on the battlefield. Ascension Shieldmaster, one of the best taunt minions in the game. Redemption, again, not useful. So we have to decide here, Frostwolf or Ascension Shieldmaster. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops already. Archer, Commander, Guardian of Kings, so we have a lot of heavy guys. I think I'm gonna go with the Ascension Shieldmaster here. Okay, now we have our board wipe. I'm not gonna talk about these 2 because I already did before, and I don't like these cards. And we got Equality. Change the health of all minions to 1. We have 2 Wild Pyromancer. Now, if you play the Wild Pyromancer, after you cast a spell, deal 1 damage to all minions. So, you have the Wild Pyromancer on the board. Then you play Equality. What happens? Equality changes the health of all minions to 1. And the Wild Pyromancer deals 1 damage to all minions because you play the spell. So, this means everything on the board dies. Which can be really great if your opponent has a lot of big minions and you don't have any or just a few. So this is our last card to pick, and it's a really good one. And we build our deck. Now we can take a look at it. We have a few Worgen Infiltrator, Botsy, Raider, Direwolf Alpha, Mad Bomber, Wild Pyromancer, Youthful Brewmaster. A few early minions to play on turn 1 or 2. On turn 3 we can go with the Emperor Koba, maybe Imp Master, Iron from Grizzly, Razor and Hunter. We can buff something with the Shattered Sun Cleric, pretty nice. On turn 4, which is definitely our strongest turn, choose a champion to kill off something. We can use Blessing of Kings to buff one of our minions, Hammer of Wrath, again to kill something, draw a card. Dark Iron Dwarf, Ogre Magi, Ascension Shieldmaster, Twilight Drake to get some nice minions on the board. From turn 5 on, we have a few of the big guys, Abominations, to if he has a lot of small minions on his side of the board, we can kill them all. Silver Knight, Spiteful Smith, and Stranglethorn Tiger, as well as Ventricle Mercenary, are really nice big guys. The Argent Commander, pretty good 2-for-1 card. We can also just attack into the hero and keep the Divine Shield. And to end it, we have the Guardian of Kings. We can heal a little bit of health when we're low, and we can also get the biggest guy on the board with the War Golem that he will have probably a lot of problem dealing with. So let's go ahead now and play our first match.